episode of Live with Pete Lombard. I'm Pete Lombard, and my special guest this evening is Mr. Dan Cosgrove. Good evening, Mr. Cosgrove.
Good evening.
Pleasure to have you here. We went to lunch recently, and you've got quite a story to tell.
Oh, thank you.
Look, we're not going to go back as far as the Civil War, but I did read an article that you had a relative that was killed in the Civil War.
I did.
Who was that?
My uncle Bartholomew O'Brien. Actually, he was my grandfather's brother. He was killed in Chancellorsville.
Uh-huh. Okay. And your family originally came over from Ireland?
Yes.
How many generations ago?
Actually, my grandfathers and grandmothers came from Ireland.
They're from Cork?
Yeah. No. One of them, the O'Brien family, came from Tipperary, and or the O'Donnell family came from Tipperary. The other ones came from down around Cork. And my where my father's family came from, I know they came over here as immigrants after the Civil War, or before the Civil War, but I don't know where they came from.
Okay. You've got quite a history, and you've had quite a life. I know that you started when you were a kid working on a farm for about $1 a day.
That's right.
And the circus came to town one time when you were about 16 years old.
A carnival.
A carnival, okay, carnival.
That's right.
And I understand if you could get in the rink with the guy, you could get up to $1 per round that you got in there.
Yeah.
So when you were 16,
if you went 3 rounds with them, they paid you $1 a round, and if you stayed with them for 3 rounds, they gave you $3. If you couldn't, they didn't pay anything.
okay, and so you were a heavy welterweight, which means you were about 150
52.
pounds. Okay, and you were there with the likes of Dizzy Dean, Leo the Lip, Wild Bill Hallahan.
All of those fellows were members of the St. Louis Gas House Gang, right?
Okay.
Paul, I had all of their autographs on a baseball, and I had Dizzy Dean's, his brother Paul, and Dizzy's wife, and he was Patty, and all Leo DeRozier, Pepper Martin, Terry Moore, Joe Medwick, the whole group, Frankie Frisch.
Mm-hmm. You've met a lot of popular, well, maybe not popular, but you've met a lot of famous politicians. Can you tell us, you met of the Kennedys, who was your favorite?
Jack.
Our friend Jack right here.
Yeah.
Okay. You've met Teddy, you met Bobby.
I met Bobby.
Did you?
I wished I had met his father. I could have learned a lot from him.
Mm-hmm.
He was the smartest of all Kennedys.
Okay. Now, you got your start, you were running a scraper or bulldozer for some different companies, and you managed to save up about $1,800, and you went out and bought your own.
$400 bucks.
Oh, $400 bucks.
I started in business. Yeah.
Okay, so you bought one, and then that continued to grow. Then you bought a second one, and pretty soon you're up to 20 some odd.
Yeah. Then I went to Cuba. And when I went to Cuba, I had to sell some of them to pay for the rest because they wouldn't take them out of they were blowing up. So I sold some of them, paid for the rest of them, and went down to Cuba.
And you were building airports there?
For a year, yeah. They were down there for about a year.
Now, you built airports all over the place. You built some here locally?
I built the one, and the last one I built was up in Oxford. We built that thing from the beginning to end. I worked on parts of the one on Block Island, and Danbury had an airport. Worked on Blackwood, built the one on Block Island, the one up in Portland, Maine, and we worked for a while on that one up in Windsor Locks, Windsor Locks, I guess.
I want to let people know that our phone lines are open at 483-8507. If you have a question for Mr. Cosgrove, he's had quite an interesting life. We just begin to touch on it. Mr. Cosgrove, I'd like to play a little word association game with you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mention somebody that you might know, and what your reaction is, and maybe just a couple of short words. And the first one I'm going to start with is John F. Kennedy.
As I say, he was one of my favorite people. He a very charming, handsome man, and a real sense of humor. I met him. I wasn't a friend of his or anything, but I've met him on several occasions at dinners, and he was. I have nothing but good to say about him.
Harry Truman.
The best.
Why do you say so?
Oh, because he was a real practical Democrat. He was truly a Democrat, and he was a loyal man, and understood what it took to win an election and to run a country. He didn't. Just because people agreed, powerful people disagreed with him, to stop him. I mean, he'd take them all on.
Give him hell, Harry. Give him hell, Harry.
That's right. He was great.
Ronald Reagan.
There he is. I'd like to say I always liked him. He had a sense of humor, and I think was a great president.
Now, you've been a lifelong Democrat. You think he was one of the best presidents?
I do. I do. I do think he was, and I think that he was completely a charmer. In other words, he didn't need anybody around to protect him. He was a movie actor, and of course, when some of these politicians tried to get out and upstage an old pro, you can't beat a guy at his own game. And he was a lot smarter than most of the newspaper reporters that were interviewing him too. I think he was a good president.
George Bush Sr.
I thought he was good. He was not the wimp that people said he was. Actually, some cruel people got after him.
Yeah.
But the fact is that he was one of the youngest Navy pilots in the Navy. He was shot down. And of course, we have people who would run, if somebody said boo to him, that call him a wimp, but he was no wimp. He made the mistake of saying he wasn't going to raise taxes, and he wound up having to, and this is what defeated him.
Al Gore.
Al Gore, I worked for Al Gore back in, I think it was '88. He was a presidential candidate. '88. And I thought he was a charming man, handsome, slim. He got a little puffy, as he's gotten older, as we all are wont to do. But at any rate, I think he's dead wrong on where he stands now. I thought that I read some books that he wrote, and I was impressed with him. We raised some money for him, had a party for him over in the Graduate Club, I guess it was.
Right.
And we were for him, but I wouldn't. The way he's turned out, I'm glad he. The only thing I'm sorry about in his defeat is that Lieberman was defeated, because as he is now, as it stands now, he's the outstanding Democrat as far as my views are concerned, in the whole group of them. But he's never forgotten me. I keep getting pictures of him and his family, even every Thanksgiving and Christmas cards yet. So I wouldn't say anything bad about him, but he's off the track right now.
Hubert Humphrey.
He was a charmer, and he had the greatest gift of gab I ever heard. I knew him, met him on several occasions. Hubert was a victim a group of ultra-liberal pseudo-intellectuals who were educated beyond their intelligence back in 1968 when they nominated him. And the same people that he was their hero. He was vice president for Johnson, and out in Chicago, they were all calling him Dump the Hump when he was the heads-on favorite. And there was a certain group of people defeated him from the Democratic Party, not the Republicans.
John Sliney.
The best. The most honest and most diligent, hardest working first selectman the town has ever had, or I haven't seen anybody coming along that's going to replace him.
I can personally attest that I grew up in the Supply Pond area, and sometimes in the spring when we had some heavy rains, my parents' backyard would fill up with some water.
I was up there.
Yeah, and along comes
with the fire engines and everything else.
Well, here comes Mr. Cosgrove or Mr. Sliney to come and check out to see what's going on and how we're going to fix the problem.
Yeah.
And I remember the mill rate was incredible back then too, incredibly low.
Well, because we kept it low, we didn't waste money. As has been the common practice of all our successors, but I guess, well, he was a very unusual man. He never even had to campaign. As a matter of fact, he never did it. Everybody was happy to vote for him, except the last year he ran. He who used to win 6,000 to 2,000, you know.
Who's the lame duck going up against him this year, right?
Yeah, and the last year that he ran, he only got 400, won by 400. So his time had finished. You can only stay in this business so long. Your friends grow old and die, and your enemies increase, because every time you make a decision, nobody disagrees or agrees with you all the time. Many times people find fault with you when they don't know what they're talking about. For example, I don't think that the present RTM in Brantford is anywhere near as good as some of the RTM members were in days gone by. And yet, they know a lot more about the town and what's going on than some of the people who are writing letters criticizing for the stands that they're taking. So, and this is one of the problems that this new selectman has, is that she's a very intelligent woman, a very attractive lady, but she's never been involved in politics, and that's an art all by itself. It hasn't anything to do with reality. It's how you're regarded. Dick Lee was a good example in New Haven, and the same thing happened with this time in Brantford, right? She's a very intelligent, well-educated, successful woman, but now she's in politics, and it's a different ball game.
Okay, I think we have a call. We'll try that.
Sure.
Hi, you're on the air. Hello, Joe.
Yeah, this is an old friend, a Republican friend of Danny's, and I just have a political question regarding the local situation here, and I was wondering how he equates the RIF in the present Democratic...
I'm sorry, Joe, we're going to turn your volume up. We're having a tough time hearing you. Let me take you up just a little bit louder, and if you could speak a little louder, too. Go ahead, Joe.
You know, just a question regarding the local politics, and I was wondering how Dan would equate the... Danny, you there?
Yes.
Yeah, how do you equate the present Democratic RIF during a time when you were and your crew were in power and had a little RIF going on then? Take your time, give me an answer, I'll hang up.
Okay, Joe, thank you for your call.
What was the question? Did you hear
The current political RIF, what's your view on that, particularly the 3rd District and what's going on in town politics?
I have no idea. I am completely out of it. I wouldn't have any idea what they're in for. All I know is that there's a group who showed up for the primary and apparently upset the group that was in there before, and some of them were dumped. And I guess the same thing happened down in Stony Creek. But I have no idea what's going on. And if you want to know the truth, I don't care.
Okay. Let's talk about some fun stuff. Let's go back to the olden days again. Connie Driscoll was the first selectman.
No, he was a Democratic town chairman.
I'm sorry, Democratic town chairman. Can you tell me, there was a big article in the Brantford Review, and there was, I guess, some fisticuffs and some things going on. Could you tell us what happened that night?
Well, actually, Connie had gotten married and gone off on his honeymoon and appointed me as the acting town chairman. I was actually the chairman of the nominating committee, and we built a headquarters up right over what used to be Brewer's drugstore. And when he came back, he found a lot of young people that he had no idea who they were in, and he wanted me to get rid of them. And I said, they had an election and they won. I'm not going to get rid of them. And he says, well, if you don't get rid of them, I'm not going to support your candidates that you've put together for the fall election. And I says, if you don't do it, I'll run a primary and beat you. And he says, you do that, I'll cut you at the election. And he didn't support him. I beat him in the primary, and then he did what he said. He wouldn't support him, and we lost by some of them only by 30 or 40 votes. But after that, we won. But he was an old friend, and we had split up only lasted a couple of years. And when he died, I mourned him as one of the family. He was one of the oldest Irish families in the town. Now,
there was an incident where the padlock got busted with an axe. What was that
yeah,
about?
well, actually, we were going to have this meeting, and went down, and I, who had paid for the complete restoration of this old upstairs building. It used to be a couple of offices, and we cleaned it out and spent $3,000 or $4,000 on it. And now I find a padlock keeping me out of something that I had built myself. And that wasn't Driscoll that did it. It was some minor politician down in Stony Creek who amounted to nothing but had a big mouth. And so we just took an axe and broke the thing down and went in.
Now, Dan, you weren't very happy with a lot of the folks in Stony Creek, and you've got a famous quote that's still repeated to this day. Would you care to repeat that quote?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, actually, it is true, and I was driven to say it. I don't know which quote you're talking about, but...
Well, about what they should carve off Stony Creek and let it float out into the Sound.
Well, that wasn't the one I thought you had in mind.
Oh, well, what's the other one? Go ahead.
Well, I'll get into that one later, but the one that I married a girl from Stony Creek, and there were some real nice-looking girls back there when I was a young lad, and I married one of them. As a matter of fact, I chased her until she caught me. And but at any rate, they had a guy down there, an idiot, the village idiot. And what I said was that when I was down there back in the 30s, they had a village idiot. Now they become an idiot village. They were all nuts. And of course that wasn't true. There were a lot of good ones. But then when I got the idea from Al Cap.
Sure.
And there was a place called Lower Slobovia that had broken loose and was floating around. And remember, Lower Slobovia was a place where it'd show you a picture of 06 characters, and one of them would always be Nixon or Bobby Kennedy or somebody, and the next thing you see is a bear, and the next showed the inhabitants. Kennedy was missing or Nixon was missing, and the bear was picking his teeth, you know. And this island was floating around, had broken loose. And everybody in the universe was afraid of it might attach itself to them. And so what happened, Stony Creek had a reporter that was making a big thing out of it, and he wrote for the New Haven Register, and he called me, wanted to know how I was making out with floating this over to Guilford. And I told him that I had received something like 62 letters, and 58 of them were from Guilford that didn't want him to come, and only 4 who said that from Stony Creek who didn't want to go. So, but we had a great time with that. But those are what they call quotable quotes.
You were attacked by a monkey. Could you tell us about that?
By a what?
A monkey.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I had an awful fight with them. Actually, they don't realize that these animals have about 13 times as much strength per pound as a human being. And I brought in a female monkey to keep him company. But the guy wanted, and we were waiting to see what happened, and they immediately fell in love. And then after that, you couldn't go anywhere near the cage. But the guy that owned the other monkey wanted him back. And when we went to separate him, the monkey put up an awful fight. And it was, actually, I say this with no hesitation, it was him or me. And incidentally, it would be like fighting a guy my size that had four feet, 4 arms, and 4 teeth that.
Now this monkey is biting you, and attacking you, and taking some
me.
flesh out, and then you finally slam the monkey down and
you
killed him.
Yeah, but then I was. They had to take me down to the doctors and get sewed up after it. I never got that badly beaten in a prize fight. I know.
Now your professional record was outstanding. When you turned 18, and what was your record? It was 32-2-2, something like that.
No, I had 36 fights, and I lost 3, and I fought twice, and I won 31.
I was close.
19. Yeah, that's.
Here's something other interesting I found. I was going at the Branford Library, and there's 2 wonderful books. They're scrapbooks, and it's all about your life and your family and everything. And I didn't have time to read the entire thing. I don't think anybody would. But there was a very interesting article in there. The Yale study was at Who Gets It Done. Now, this was done back in the late 60s, perhaps?
No, I think it was the early 70s. It was, they were looking to see who was the most influential.
Yeah, if you wanted to get something done, who would you go to?
Yeah.
And the results were, you indexed at 100. Now, you're not in office at this time.
It never was in office.
Right, 112 points. John Sliney got 93, and it looks like Lucy Hammer got 48.
Yeah. Everybody else got down around 20 or something.
Yeah, thereafter. But I mean, that's incredible. If you want to get something done in the town of Branford, who do you go to?
Go to a guy that's not elected.
That's right. You go to Dan Cosgrove.
Yeah. That was a poll taken by the Yale, I think it was a Yale health department or something. I'm not sure who took it, but I know it was a Yale group that took it.
Okay, now there's a question my dad wanted me to ask you, and that is, you're in a war and you're in a foxhole. What one person would you want in that foxhole with you?
Well, Elizabeth Taylor, when she was in her youth, I wouldn't be bad.
How did I know you were going to say that? That's a great answer, and it's an honest answer. And I think we've got somebody on the line here.
Sure.
Okay, we're going to go to this call. Not yet, they're selling. Okay. All right. We're going to go to this call in just a second. Kathy's on the line. Hi, Kathy, you're live on BCTV. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. Good evening, Mr. Cosgrove.
Good evening.
You've led a very interesting life. Those of us here in the town who know of you know you're very well known for your philanthropy. What advice could you give the youth of America today as far as the benefit of being generous and doing good works and donating and all of the good things that you do? Because those of us who are the parents of the youngsters today, you know, we look at our kids and tend to think with the internet and all these other things that are going on, that they don't seem as motivated as maybe young people were many years ago. Do you have a comment on that?
Well, I think anyone that made a study of this would find that, and this is not only in Brantford, it's all over the United States. Basically, the most recent studies confirm the studies made in the late 80s by Bennett, Commissioner of Education Bennett, and the cabinet. And that is that the American child at the end of the 4th year in school is the best educated youngster in the world. By the time they get to out of high school, they're down around 18th amongst the industrial nations. So it seems that we start off with good kids, but the average kid who graduates from school, 75% of the people in Brantford today are going to college, but 55% of them never finish the 2nd year. And the Asians, the Jewish people, 55% of them are the valedictorians in the colleges where they, so that's what my reaction to all of it is.
Okay. Kathy, thank you very much for calling.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got a little less than a minute. Really quickly, Mr. Cosgrove, of all the accolades that you've received, which one are you most proud of?
Of the what?
All the accolades, all the awards that you've gotten. Which one are you most proud of?
I'm proud of all of them. And I'm deeply grateful to all of those many, honors that have been bestowed upon me. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Well, I want to thank my special guest, Mr. Dan Cosgrove. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a nice round of applause for Mr. Cosgrove for coming out here? We got some laughs, we got some truth. I want to thank you very much for coming out, Mr. Cosgrove. This has been Pete Lombard for BCTV.
The preceding public access program was made possible with support from RonGlickProductions.com, videography and editing. Deeks Solid Wood Furniture of Brantford. Finished, unfinished antiques.